I was once on a small plane with another older man as the only other passenger. There was a regular pilot as well as a trainee as we flew to a regional location for work. We were well into the flight when, without warning, the plane tilted 90 degrees and we were heading straight toward the ground. The pilot immediately took the controls and brought that plane back into line safely. Now, the man across the aisle from me showed me what he had for breakfast, but not a word was spoken either then nor when we landed safely at our final destination. Now, as we exited the plane, the other passenger said to me, "I had an accident and I'm very embarrassed." He had indeed, and the front of his trousers showed that. So, to avoid embarrassment for him, I had him walk closely behind me across the tarmac so that no one would notice the state that he was in. I directed him toward a place where he could clean up and perhaps get some new or clean clothes so that he could go about his business during the day before coming back for the return flight home that night. It reminds me of that wonderful story in Luke chapter 8, where Jesus was walking in a large crowd on his way to visit a very sick young girl. And as he went, there were a lot of people milling around him, including one particular woman who also had an embarrassing physical condition that she'd been struggling with for some 12 years. Now, it would have been totally controlling of her life, as you can understand. She was bleeding and it simply would not stop. She had tried absolutely everything and had been to every doctor possible, and everyone who had a solution she had been to see, but nothing seemed to work for her. Now, she just happened to be in the crowd. Now, I suspect that she'd heard about Jesus and that he was nearby, and she came to see him. And in that crowd, she came up behind Jesus and simply reached out and touched the hem of his garment. And the scripture says that immediately her bleeding stopped. Wow! But then Jesus said, "Who touched me?" "I beg your pardon, Jesus?" I think that I may have been a little like Peter, who said to Jesus, "Jesus, there are a lot of people around here, and I would think that many of those people have touched you as you've gone by and as you walked through the crowd." Jesus replied, "Someone deliberately touched me because I felt healing power go out from me." Now, the woman could no longer stay hidden, and she trembled as she confessed why she had touched Jesus and that she had been immediately healed. Jesus simply said, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace." That's powerful. Now, if you have something that causes you to stand apart on your own, if there are circumstances in your life that are uncomfortable, circumstances that cause you to hide or causes you embarrassment, press into Jesus. He offers full life in abundance. We read that in John 10:10. By the way, my fellow passenger didn't turn up for the return flight home that night. He found someone who was going to drive the 6 hours back home, and he caught a lift with them. Actually, the flight home was one of the best ones that I ever had. Psalm 37:4 says, it reminds us to delight ourselves in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Reach out to Jesus, touch him, and have a great day.